He is delivering one last message to Vladimir Putin. American soldiers and tanks are being sent to Russia's doorstep in numbers not seen since the Cold War.
Vast container ships docked in Germany with all the hardware for a full U.S. combat brigade. It's now rolling further east to Poland, where 4,000 American soldiers will be waiting.
For almost 3 decades, the U.S. has been steadily pulling military personnel and weapons out of Europe, until now. But this month, that process has gone into reverse.
It's quite a turnaround. Last year, there wasn't a single American tank left based in Europe. Now, there are 87. This muscle flexing is designed to reassure America's nervous allies. And it's also a warning to Russia.
Russia's defense ministry says that it is beginning to withdraw its forces from Syria. The chief of Russia's armed forces says the naval fleet led by the aircraft carrier Admiral Kuznetsov will be the first to leave. The aircraft carrier group has been operating in the Mediterranean off the Syrian coast. Vladimir Putin announced in December that Russian military deployment in Syria would be reduced under the terms of a ceasefire deal between the Syrian government and the rebel forces. Russia joined the Syrian conflict in September 2015 and helped turn the tide of the war in favor of the government.
An American consular official is in stable condition after being shot in the chest in Guadalajara, Mexico's second largest city. Authorities say the victim was attacked on Friday evening. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation is offering a reward of $20,000 for information on the shooter. The U.S. consulate has posted a video showing the shooter dressed in blue and wearing a wig waiting outside a shopping center garage. The video shows the man raising his gun and firing at a car before fleeing.
Turkey is considering shutting off access to the country's southern Incirlik air base. It says this is due to a lack of NATO support in Ankara's military campaign in the Middle East. The US has led allies, including Kurdish militias, in fighting Islamic State and has used Incirlik as a launch point for airstrikes. Turkey, meanwhile, regards Kurdish fighters as terrorists. Ankara says the US chooses terrorists over allies when it supplies arms to Kurdish forces. Incirlik Air Base was already shut off once for suspected connections with the attempted coup back in July last year.
The torrential rain has caused severe flooding in southern areas of Thailand. At least 18 people have been killed and 1 million affected as thousands of villages remain partially submerged. The country's meteorological department has issued a warning for further flash flooding, and military personnel have been mobilized to help evacuate victims. The downpours have hit the country during the peak tourist season and have caused widespread disruption to flights and local public transport.
Israel for an update on the recent truck attack that killed 4 people and injured 17 others. A photograph has emerged of 28-year-old Fadi Kumbar, identified as the man who drove a truck into a group of Israeli soldiers and pedestrians in Jerusalem on Sunday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the driver was a supporter of ISIL. He also suggested that the attack was inspired by similar attacks in Europe, though he didn't provide any evidence.
USS Mahan fired at the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps vessels after they closed in at high speed and disregarded repeated radio requests to slow down. Before the warning shots, the Mahan also fired flares, and a US Navy helicopter dropped a smoke float. Last September, US President-elect Donald Trump had vowed that any Iranian vessels found harassing the US Navy in the Persian Gulf would be shot out of the water. There has been no immediate comment from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
From the Yuba River in Northern California to the Truckee River in Nevada, stormwater poured downstream. Crews are still bracing for floods in the town of Lockwood just east of Reno, with more rain headed their way. Emergency workers evacuated about 400 homes in Reno, and schools were closed after Nevada declared a state of emergency. California also lost one of its oldest residents. The storm toppled a famous giant sequoia carved into a living tunnel in the 1880s.
Officials in Afghanistan have reported twin blasts near parliament offices in the capital Kabul. At least 22 people have been killed and scores more wounded in the attack. A minibus carrying staff from the NDS, Afghanistan's intelligence agency, was targeted in a crowded area during afternoon rush hour. A first attacker blew himself up near the new Parliament building, followed immediately by a car bomb. The Taliban has claimed responsibility for the explosions.
This 21-year-old man led away in handcuffs by a plane he tried to board after bursting through that O'Hare checkpoint. TSA officers pursue.
They're not stopping him, they're following him.
It was just before 5 Sunday morning as Malik Neal made his way from that TSA checkpoint into the gate area, now with airport security joining the 9-minute incident. TSA officers and airport security don't have arrest authority.
We need a taser squad!
And the suspect put up a fight. 2 TSA officers and 2 Chicago police officers who arrived at the gate were injured. An incident after Fort Lauderdale and others raising concerns.
You've had 3 serious catastrophic incidents, and now you've had a security breach at the front side, which isn't catastrophic, but it does point to a vulnerability.
The UN's Humanitarian Coordination Office has said the number of civilian casualties and displaced people is rising as Iraqi forces fight their way deeper into Mosul. It said large numbers of wounded civilians streamed into nearby hospitals in the last 2 weeks as fighting intensified in ISIL's last strongholds in Iraq. Nearly 700 people were hospitalized outside Mosul in